and we are going to open our special meeting, our special called meeting tonight. The first item on the agenda, come on in. The first item on the agenda is our invocation, and invocation. And Councilman Johnson is going to pray for us tonight. Please stand.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this council. We thank you for the many, many blessings you've bestowed on this community. And in Romans 3:31, you tell us to obey the law. You direct us to obey the law. Please give us the wisdom and the guidance tonight to do that and resolve the issues at hand. In the name of Jesus Christ, we thank you and amen.
Amen. Amen. Pledge of allegiance to the American flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Pledge to the Texas flag. Honor
the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Okay, I'll do the roll call. Councilman Bryant.
Here.
Councilman Johnson.
Here.
Councilman Vaughn.
Here.
And Councilman Martin.
Here.
And Councilwoman Douglas is not in attendance tonight. Okay. So we have, I will say I have 4 people who have signed in today, and I will give you a time for you to speak. Normally we open it up with your comments. This will probably be, we will do some and then we will come back and ask for your comments. I will tell you that each person who is signed up will have 3 minutes total to speak. We won't do, in the past I've let you speak and sit down and get up, speak and sit down and get up, and tonight we will just ask that you come and help us do the 3 minutes only, the one time. Okay, are there any questions so far? Okay, I think we're going to start with Mr. Leamons. I think he has something to say, and then we will get started.
Honorable Mayor Miller and esteemed members of the City Council, thank you for the opportunity to present my grievances to you. I understand you have been provided the details concerning those grievances. There's one simple yet profound concept which, if wholeheartedly embraced, I believe would resolve the problem at hand. The doctrine of separation of powers, which is the idea that power is to be divided between the legislative, judicial, and executive branches of government. A few weeks ago, I heard a speech by Attorney General Barr in which he addressed this topic. It is an idea which is foundational to our form of government. Attorney General Barr believes it is a breakdown of the separation of powers, which is behind much of the turmoil we have witnessed in Washington, D.C. in recent years. When I heard his speech, I thought, what he is saying applies to some of the difficulties we are having in the city of Glen as well. The separation of powers is not limited to the federal government. It can be found in most of our state constitutions, including the Texas Constitution. Article 2, the powers of government, Section 1, separation of powers of government among 3 departments. The powers of the government of the state of Texas shall be divided into 3 distinct departments, each of which shall be confided to a separate body of magistracy, to wit, those are which are legislative to one, those which are executive to another, and those which are judicial to another, and no person or collection of persons being of one of these departments shall exercise any power properly attached to either of the others, except in the instances herein expressly permitted. George D. Braden, a professor of law at Yale University, helped Texas in the years leading up to its adoption of a revised state constitution in 1972. In a document prepared for the state legislature titled "The Constitution of the State of Texas, an Annotated and Comparative Analysis," he had this to say about the division of powers. Article 2 of the Texas Constitution consists of only a single section with fewer than 100 words, yet the principle it establishes, that the powers of government are divided among 3 separate and distinct branches or departments of government, is one of the most basic to Texas government, and it has had a significant impact on the remainder of the state constitution and on the structure and operation of government in Texas. Braden goes on to quote James Madison, the father of the U.S. Constitution. Quote, "No political truth," he wrote, "is certainly of greater intrinsic value or is stamped with the authority of more enlightened patrons of liberty than that on which the objection is based. The accumulation of all powers, legislative, executive, and judiciary, in the same hands, whether of one, a few, or many, and whether hereditary, self-appointed, or elective, may justly be pronounced the very definition of tyranny." Braden went on to say, "The importance of Article 2 is not in its precise language, but in the general concept of government it announces, a concept that in turn pervades the remainder of the Texas Constitution and has been vigorously developed by the courts and attorneys general in application to government at both the state and local level. The principle has basically 2 facets. The first is obvious from a reading of Article 2, that no member of one branch or department of government may exercise powers that are confided to another. The second is present by implication from the first, that those powers constitutionally confided to one body of government cannot be delegated to another body. The concept of division of power works its way all the way down to the municipal level. The City Council exercises the legislative function. It approves ordinances and policies. The municipal judge, who is appointed for a term of 2 years, exercises the judicial function. Even if he were to make a decision or decisions unpopular with the City Council, the Council does not have the power to arbitrarily remove the judge prior to the end of his term. The mayor exercises the executive function. Texas Municipal League's 2019 Handbook for Mayors and Council Members states, "The mayor occupies the highest elective office in the municipal government. The mayor serves in the dual roles of administrator and political head of the city." The Texas Local Government Code states that the mayor is the chief executive officer of the municipality. The mayor shall at all times actively ensure that the laws and ordinances of the municipality are carried out. The mayor shall inspect the conduct of each subordinate municipal officer. My office, that of city administrator, has been created by the Glen City Council and by city councils of many other small cities in Texas. to help the mayors of those cities in the discharge of the mayor's duties. Among numerous other duties, the city's code of ordinances states that the city administrator shall supervise and coordinate the activity of all city departments and oversee the enforcement of city ordinances, policies, and procedures. Mayor Miller and members of the council, I appreciate both the opportunity you have given me to serve you and the citizens of Glenrose and the confidence you recently expressed when you granted me a 3-year employment contract. I believe my grievances can be resolved if a concentrated effort is made to observe the division of powers between the legislative and executive branches of our local government. Can we agree that the adoption of policies and ordinances belongs to you, the aldermen, the legislative branch, and that the management of the day-to-day business of the city and the enforcement of the city's ordinances and policies, including personnel matters, belongs to the executive branch or to the mayor and city administrator? If we can agree on these two major points, I don't believe there is a need to address all the minor points listed in my grievances. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Leamons. So my question to the council people are, I guess I could say councilmen tonight. Do we want to accept and follow what Mr. Leamons has presented and make sure that we are all doing that? Or do we want to go through the grievances that we have before us? Do we want to make the motion that the judicial part, we know the legislative part, y'all will be making and approving ordinances and policies. The administrative part, and executive part will go back to the mayor has the administrator and then the mayor, and so that's up to y'all. If anyone has a motion to accept what he has, then and it passes, then we can declare the meeting over. If we want to continue and go through each thing of the grievances, then we can also do that. So I'm open for discussion on that.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we accept the plan of action that has been proposed here as the legitimate way to run the city business.
I have a motion. Do I have any comments or a second?
Got a comment. I kind of like to know, I've always thought you were the chief executive order, but when have we not been following all this?
I think, well, when you looked in the grievances, and there are some things, when you looked, one of the things, and Mr. Bryant, I will pull this up, but when we were having some issues over a grievance policy, and Mr. Bryant made a text that he's had it with the administration and he doesn't care what the city attorney advised, I had us put on, we called a meeting, because I did not want Mr. Bryant to continue with that. And so, having said that, that was my fault for calling the meeting. You know, it was actually Mr. Leamons' call. The grievance did not meet our code of conduct. It did not meet our policy. So when we did that, then I stepped above, and it was because of the, and I will agree that the text seemed bullying. So when that happens, and then when we have people who are talking to employees, and you know, back in October 16th, I think, we approved a code of conduct for the city council. And part of on that code of conduct was we have a chain of command. And we all agreed we would follow that chain of command. And so when people are not, and they are going and talking to city personnel, and they are overstepping their bounds, then that's causing that problem. It's causing it because it's not going through me, it's not going through the chain of command, it's not. So that's what it is. And so then when I called that meeting for Michael, and I honestly did it because of the text, Mr. Bryant, that you had sent, and for us, you know, I want us all to work together. I think we have a great team, and I think we have to remember how to treat one another, and so I think that's what it's from.
Since we're going to discuss this before we take a vote, I've got several things I want to say since my name was brought up. All right, the first thing I want to do, we're talking about the text. Yes, I sent a text, and I would be very happy to read it right now, because the complaint was I took his text in a tone of bullying. You know, the way I see a text, when you talk about like adding an exclamation mark, you know, there's some emphasis behind that. When you add an exclamation mark, there's some emphasis. I added one throughout that entire text. And the only reason the text was even presented was because the city administration and mayor was dealing with a problem that had been going on and on and on within the city administration with different council members. And that has to stop. Once you've been through it that many times, it becomes a council issue.
May I interrupt? Sure. Okay, we have not been going over that on and on. I had asked, and I have the right to do that according to policy and the state code of conduct. State code of, I'll find the right words. Anyway, the state's code. Anyway, I have the right to say, if we can handle this before taking it to council, we need to be able to do that. I have that right. And if I had asked you and someone else to talk to them, then that would have been fine. We had already had two council people talk, and then we had someone else who was going to intervene. And then when your reply, I've had it with administration, and I don't care what the city attorney advised.
Which I do not.
But we have hired him as a county attorney, as our city attorney. Wait. He is certified by the state of Texas to be an attorney. You are not.
No.
And I'm not through. We have the right to contact TML, and we have done that. And you were wrong.
No, I was not wrong. Don't say I was wrong if I wasn't.
You were wrong.
I was not.
You were wrong. And, Mr. Bryant, I do not think any
When do I
of
get to
us...
talk?
I'm talking. I do not think anyone in this council wants to argue every single time we come up here. We have hired an administrator. He is here to present the information to us. We should listen to our administrator. We have given him a contract. We need to follow the law and do what the law says. So Johnny, that's where that comes from.
Now, may I talk?
If you will tell the truth. If you're going to sit
Have I
here,
not?
if you are going to sit here, because at the last meeting you were not, and we have that from TML, we had it from our city attorney, we have it from TML, and they know, I'm sorry to say this, they are more informed than you. So if you tell the truth, then you may talk.
Thank you. Okay, so I get the floor as long as the mayor did. Okay, so what the mayor...
And no more smart
But quit interrupting me.
Well, then you
Quit interrupting
quit.
me.
You stop.
Okay,
Point of
so-
order, madam.
Thank you.
So, as the mayor was saying, there was a disagreement with Mr. Pinson and I on what is in the legal meeting or not, whether you want to call a employee out in open records, an open meeting. My point of objection was to do that in an executive session, like professionally, like we should. As the mayor said, she has the right to handle everything she possibly can and resolve it in the lowest level possible as you can, which she should. But unfortunately, like example tonight, this should have been resolved at the lowest level possible as well. But look where we all are. We're in an open public meeting, wasting council members' time and taxpayers' money is what we're doing. So the disagreement that Mr. Pendleton and I have, let me find it on here, because we got two different statements from TML. He got, I guess, the administrator got a statement that says, yes, you can talk about a employee's, I guess, grievance in open record, but they, let me find it here, it says they recommend that you do not. So anytime you get from TML that says we recommend you don't, but you can. My point was, let's keep the small stuff. Let's keep this, city government, the little stuff behind closed scenes, to get it resolved. This could have been resolved. This is like when Mr. Leamons just got up and read that nice statement. That's great. Had we followed procedure, that could have been done through a telephone conference with the city council, administration, and attorney. But yet, look where we are. Because for some reason, we wanted to take the small little stuff and present it to the public. We wanted to air the dirty laundry out. So while we're doing that, that's fine. But the mayor wants to talk about a text. I would love, may I read the text?
We have it, Mr.
Yes,
Mr. I would be glad to.
May I read it?
You may read it.
Thank you very much, I will. Okay, so what had happened?
But let me, while you're finding it.
I don't need to find it, I found it right here.
Okay, please
So,
read it.
while I sent this text, what had happened was we had an incident. The city employee had some disagreements with the city administrator and was getting his voice silenced. He recommended and asked if he could talk to the council about particular subjects that he felt like he was being treated unfairly with. Well, what had happened was he kept getting denied. Well, in the meantime, there was meetings set up with the city administration, the mayor, and council.
Excuse me, I was not there.
Okay, you weren't there. The administration and the council and other city employees. Well, this happened 3 or 4 times. Well, in the meantime, I hear it's happening again. 2 more council members are going to meet with the city administrator behind closed doors and go over it again. This process had already been gone over several times, and at that point, it needed to be handled by the council. So when I heard about that...
I'm sorry. May I intervene?
No, not yet, Mayor. I'm talking, so please.
I do not remember all those meetings that you have referred to with council.
It's in here.
Council.
It's in here. But
No,
you keep
it's
interrupting me, but I can't interrupt you.
You're right.
So what I had read, or so what I had sent to the administrator was this: Michael, if there's an employee issue that has escalated through chain of command and involves council response, this will need to be reviewed by the entire council. I have had it with the administration, meeting with individual council members to resolve issues behind closed doors. Period. If there's a meeting with any city employee and council members, that needs to be canceled immediately. Michael replies back, the city attorney indicated there was no basis for formal grievance. The council member had offered to try to mediate, and I was open to that suggestion. I wrote, this is not the proper way to handle this. I don't care what the city attorney advised, and I do not care. I've lost faith in our city attorney. This is an issue that seems to have that has followed the chain of command, and the city council has an open letter from an employee, and the administration is aware of it. At that point, it has become a city council issue, and to be discussed and reviewed by the entire city council. The fact that the city council has not heard from administration about this is very bothersome. I suggest to cancel any side meetings with individual city council members and employees. This needs and will be an executive session item in the December meeting. I am disappointed in what is taking place here. I will also be placing course of action policy on the December meeting to end administration, allowing problem solving with individual city council members. That's the threatening, bullying text that I sent.
Okay, thank you.
I'm
Now,
not there talking. You accused me of several things, so
but it's time to remind you of a few things,
Okay.
and then I will come back.
That's right.
Okay, you have no authority under city politics, city policies and ordinances to interfere with the administration at this time. You have no authority. Unless we are in a meeting, as we are now, you are a regular city person. When people come to you, it's the same as if I was going next door to my neighbor and I was complaining. Okay? Yes, we are all elected, but you don't act in an official manner unless we are all together. And there are 4 of the council members here tonight, and as a group we can make decisions. Otherwise, no one has the right to go in and say, well, I'm going to take care of that. I demand that be taken off. You can't do
Who
that.
said that? Right here, I said, I suggest to cancel
But
to cancel any side meeting with individual council members and employees.
and I am going to tell you
So
why.
you just lied.
I am going to tell you something. Your tone of voice, we've had several meetings where your tone of voice is uncalled for. You try to belittle people here, and you try to do, and when people do that, when they try to stand up to you, you get mad. And I will make this comment, and I do apologize for what I'm about to say, but you have the ability to make someone's life a living hell. And I am sorry for saying that, but that is the truth. And when I looked on your Facebook thing, one of the things that you had on your Facebook was you do not stand for rude behavior. And when you throw a fit, that is extremely rude behavior. So at this point, we have a motion to accept Michael's, where we don't have to go through all of this because we can go through point by point if that's what you want. If we want to do what Michael has suggested, where we know what we're supposed to do, and we know we're not supposed to be overstepping our bounds, just as when we met on October 16th and we had the code of conduct for elected officials, it was a 5-0 vote to accept it. And that's what we have to do. We have to get back to being able to say we're going to have to agree to disagree. We're going to have to get back to doing the business of the city and doing what we as elected officials are to do. People say, oh, you're trying to hide things. We are not trying to hide anything. If we have something to discuss that needs to be out in public, it's going to be out in public. There are things that we have given permission to the city administrator to take care of, and we, as a team, need to support that. Yes.
Since you made the comments that I had, temper or can make life a living hell, there are times when I do want to challenge people, especially when I feel like an employee is being silenced, when I feel like an employee is being bullied. I am going to step up, and you are going to hear from me.
But
and you're going to hear me very
again,
loudly. Let me talk. And you're going to hear from me very loudly about it. I'm not going to shy down to any kind of what I feel is corruption or resentment or retaliation from our administration or the mayor. I'm not going to do that. So if you want to silence me, you can try. And in a meeting, temperament is not a city violation of our code of conduct. I can be as loud as I need to be without screaming or talking about derogatory or threatening. I can do that just well. And if you want to call me out and have it see if any council members are offended, that's fine, do so.
Well,
but until then, the other night, no other council members said they were offended. I said plenty. I didn't agree with what was going on, and I still don't agree with what was going on. Mr. Leamons stood up there and gave his speech, that's great. But in no point of that did he recommend and admit, okay, the administration has a lot to do as well. Because the bottom line is, we are all here tonight because all this has stemmed from one employee requesting to speak to the council and was denied. That's why we're here tonight.
we are here tonight because you have
Do you understand?
overstepped.
I understand.
Huh?
You have overstepped your
understand.
bounds. Anytime we
You
have
an
employee, that employee
True.
and members of the city council have a chain of command. We have accepted that. We have voted on it. We need to do it. If we cannot follow the chain of command, as in our personnel policies, Why do we have them? Why not just say, hey, let's just be helter-skelter on anything we want to do. You have a complaint, you go talk to whoever you want to. You have a complaint, you go talk to whoever you want to. You have a complaint, fine, you go talk to whoever you want to. You don't have to talk to your supervisor. You don't have to talk to your administrator. We are not here to act on individual matters. We are here to do what's best for the city council. We are here to work as a team to do what's best for the city council. If you are going above and you are talking to someone because they are unhappy, then you have overstepped your bounds. Now, I have a motion on the floor to accept Mr. Leamons' suggestion that, and if I have a second, we will vote. If I don't, then we will start and we will go over page by page.
Would you like for me to read the motion as I understood it?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Richard Vaughn moved that the city council acknowledge the executive and legislative boundaries and follow those boundaries. Is that
That's
what
I
you
said.
have? Well, that's what that's why I want to clarify to make sure that we're on the same page.
We are on
Because
the
there was a
same
lot
page.
of words.
We're on the same
Ooh,
page.
you
Carry
listen
on.
good.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor of following our policies and going back to what we need to do, raise your hand. All against? We have 3 for and 1 against, so at this point, 6:02, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.